Hello and welcome to the next episode of the South Yorkshire Women's Football Podcast. Today we've got Barnsley Women's CEO Steve Maddock on the show. Lewis, just talk us through a little bit about what Steve's going to talk to us about.
So Steve's going to go into all sorts of insight today, Ollie, including the split with Barnsley.
Nobody knows how much we really wanted to be part of Barnsley, but again, we couldn't lose the club.
And also the drastic impact of COVID on his club.
We were winning the league by 5 or 6 points, unbeaten, not many games left, and COVID struck.
Lots to look forward to on the first part of this exclusive episode. Now let's head over to the episode itself.
So I've always been involved in football from a young age. Ex-professional footballer with Leeds United, England under 18s, all that malarkey. Left football, played rugby for a long time, but kept in with people. And 7 years ago I was approached by the then Barnsley ladies set up to become their manager.
Right.
7 years ago, so I was 55. I really wasn't looking to go out on a Tuesday and Thursday night coaching and stuff like that, but I looked at the club and I've got some friends who are still involved in football, and 7 years ago women's football was just becoming a thing. And we saw an opportunity to take over the club, really. Mm-hmm. So we looked into it. I got a friend of mine, Paul Thompson. He's the ex-chairman and owner of West Bromwich Albion Men. We came up with a plan and we took over the club from scratch, really. They were struggling in the first team and changed things around. They just avoided relegation. I took over with 5 games to go. They just avoided relegation by one single goal. Mm-hmm. In fact, that goal was against Newcastle United. I can remember it well. So we stayed up, and then we put things into place. We put a board of directors in. We were then associated with Barnsley Men's Football Club, a loose association in that they gave us 2 free kits. One for us and one for the reserves. No away kit, but 2 free kits. And at the time, I guess they thought they were doing everything to help women's football, which, as you know, 2 free kits doesn't really get you a long way. We became quite successful, and in our second year there, we won the County Cup, punching above our weight, and we beat Huddersfield Town, who were in Tier 3 then. We beat them on penalties at the New York Stadium. And at that time, at the game, we got interest from the Barnsley owners, the Crine family. They came and sat with us. And they could see how well we were going, I think. So the following season, we were given a bit of an ultimatum, actually. A document saying that we needed to sign a branding logo agreement. So basically it was saying that because we're using their badge, we had to fall in line. And, well, if you read it carefully, like my friend Paul Thompson did, they could take the club from us at any time.
Right. Okay.
Despite all our efforts, all our money and all our hard work. Mm-hmm. So we went back to the club and said, look, we want to be part of Barnsley Men. We love Barnsley, but could you just change a few things in the logo agreement? And basically they said, no, we're not going to take the club from you. Well, in business we all know that if you've got an agreement down there and it says they can take the club, mm-hmm. they're probably going to take the club. Mm-hmm. So we really tried to make it work. I've never made this public before, actually.
First time,
exclusive
on the South Yorkshire.
We really wanted to be part of Barnsley. Nobody knows how much we really wanted to be part of Barnsley, but again, we couldn't lose the club because we believed in what we were doing for women. Mm-hmm. Okay, we were a women's club. That's what we looked at. So they said no, we're not moving. So we looked at different things. I applied to the council to use the crest, the council crest, which is Barnsley Football Club's badge, basically. But the council own it. And the council said, yeah, no problem, you can use our crest. So we spent quite a bit of money designing a new badge, which didn't look like Barnsley's, but obviously had the same and they said you can't use it. And basically, it was, they never actually said it, but
Barnsley said you couldn't use it.
they could. The Barnsley Football Club said you can't use that,
Right.
and it was. Well, they never actually said it, but it was like, if you use that, we're going to court and you're going to lose.
Right.
So we couldn't afford to go to court and fight Barnsley Football Club. So we decided on getting our new badge, which you can see here.
Yeah.
And we went our separate ways, but we kept the history, obviously, and everything associated with it. Then that year after, we were winning the league by 5 or 6 points, unbeaten. Not many games left, and COVID struck. We were going to get promoted, no doubt about it. We were going to get promoted. We got through to the 4th round of the FA Cup, which, if the prize money had been the same, then we would have won £60,000-70,000.
Wow.
I think we got £5,000. That's
A
how
massive contrast of money, isn't it?
Exactly. But we had a fantastic run. Our girls played a WSL team, and COVID struck. Am I okay to carry on here? Because I might be boring you.
No, feel free.
Yeah, but COVID struck, and the league was halted.
Right.
Which was devastating, really, because everything we'd got was on plan to, get promoted, and after that, everything was in place to push on. So it was then deigned by the FA that all the men's leagues would be decided on points per game. So relegation and promotion. If that had been applied to the women's leagues, then we would have been promoted. However, and you tell me, what is the difference between men's and women's, leagues or whatever? They decided that no. The league was expunged from history. Right. Nobody went up, nobody went down.
Right. So all that hard work over the course of 8 months of the season, and it's completely wiped from history.
Wiped from history. You can't find it now.
Right. Okay.
And so we decided to stand up for women. Paul Thompson sent so many things out on Twitter, statements, bringing the FA to account. He suggested 3 different things, changes in their constitution or whatever. They completely rebuffed us. Our girls thought that we were embarrassing everybody. So we had a mass exodus. We were only doing it for them.
Right.
We love our players. You can ask any player that's ever played for Barnsley women whether they've been looked after. And I don't think there'll be one to say no, even though they've left.
Yeah.
If they want to leave, it's good on them. It's whatever's best for the girl at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And they're always welcome to come back, and many have done. The grass isn't always greener. But, so there was a big action by South Shields then, because...
It's local to us.
Yeah. They... and I think we contributed to it. They took the FA to court. This
is South Shields women, or
no? It was
men?
the men, actually.
Right,
It was the men, because I think lower down the leagues they refused to do.
Yeah.
So but we were National League. We're in the top, 70 odd teams in the country. So we expected to be, checked the same as the top 92 men in the men's. You know. So South Shields lost, unfortunately, and. In the end, I think the head of the FA then, I think it was someone called Dyke, he ended up resigning. Mm-hmm. Then, funnily enough, the 3 proposals that we did propose got implemented. So that's life.
How many years ago is this, would you say?
That was COVID. So
COVID was 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5 years ago.
Right.
And so it's been a bit up and down. We've set off 2 years winning the league at Christmas, never unbeaten. And we're fighting against all the men's teams, such as your Hull Cities, your Newcastle Uniteds, Leeds Uniteds, who've got, are helping the women's teams. And we're an independent club. Mm-hmm. And we're fighting against all them, and we've held our own. And so that's where we are at the moment.
Mm. Yeah, just going back to the thing with Barnsley men's side, when you decided that you had to go your separate ways with them and end all speculation there. Do you think the writing was almost on the wall? The fact that they were only giving you, 2 kits, was it, for the first team reserve side?
You know, in the first meeting, I said, I asked, I'm not going to name names, but I can see him now, an ex-player. He was in the meeting with us. I said, could we use your minibus by any chance? No. I said, any chance we could use your gym? No. I said, could we get changed in the changing rooms and just walk across to the AstroTurf? No, you can't do that. I said, well, OK, let's cut to the chase. Can we have some money? And that really ended the conversation, really. And so that was it. It was that bad. We would turn up for training. Bearing in mind, we've got girls coming from Lincoln, Leeds, Nottingham, Derby, Manchester to play for us, giving up their own time because they're all full-time, women in employment. They'd turn up at 7:30 to play, and there'd be a boys' youth team academy game on that had been put on, even though they knew that we were training. And the girls would have to sit in the stand for an hour and go on when the under-14s had finished. So that's really what they thought of women then. It was a disgrace, really, what happened, but we were in no position to, call them out because, we had nowhere else to play. So, of course, as the writing was on the wall, I'd got a 2-year deal. I managed to get a 2-year deal before this had happened. So there was only 1 year left when we decided to go. So they let us play there for a year, but then as soon as that was it, we were out. We were looking for the ground then.
I wanted to ask you about the building a structure at the club. Obviously, you sort of established yourself at the club 7 years ago, but what's it like, combining a staff, directors, sponsors, building a team? What's that like? What challenges does it?
It's very, very hard. You can ask my wife. My wife, says, Steve, why do you do it? There's no financial recompense for any of us, but we do it for the love of game, the love of women's football. There's been lip service paid to women's football for years and years, and it's about time people, looked at it seriously. Everybody looks at the WSL, the brand way, and the Lionesses, but look below that and really see the support that we're getting. Some people are trying, but so the director, so like I said, I had 2 friends in America. One used to play professional football with me, one who used to be at Man City. They both got their footballing businesses over there, and we've been friends since youth. So they came on board as directors and shareholders. I mentioned Paul Thompson, a fantastic man, the best person I've met in my life. Don't
tell your wife that.
Male. And he gave us the structure and the knowledge of what he did at West Bromwich Albion. He took them from the Championship to the Premiership, and he built the stadium for them. But, so the knowledge that he had was unbelievable. And then a masterstroke. So one of our directors introduced us to an American sportswear company called Capelli. Okay, so Capelli bought 25% of our shares. They are our main sponsors. Without them, we wouldn't have been able to survive. They give us kit, throughout the club, which saves us a fortune. The best thing that happened to us was Capelli after the people that joined. So that gave us a sense of pride on the pitch. All the girls wear the same kit, training shoes, everything is the same. We look fantastic, even though sometimes we don't play fantastic, we look fantastic. And so that was a big boost. And then it was up to me and the other directors to try and bring in the money from companies and things like that. We had to sell ourselves. It's like I've just started again for the new season, selling ourselves and saying this is what we're doing for women. But now we've got an ETC, which is giving back to the community. We've got an emerging talent centre there at Barnsley College. Barnsley College are unbelievable. They give us training facilities and classrooms. We have their students on work placements. We do a lot with Barnsley College. Without them now, we couldn't do what we do. But the ETC, we provide free of charge. So it's a talent pathway for girls. It's supposed, we get a lot of Barnsley girls, obviously, but we're getting girls from Leeds, Wakefield, York, Doncaster coming, wanting to be in our ETC. So
an ETC explainer coming soon to the website.
yeah.
Written by me.
Yeah, so the Emerging Talent Centre. And we've just got a new 3-year licence, so we're doing something right. And so we've got a talent pathway there now from the age of 10 all the way through the Barnsley Women's Scholarship Programme at Barnsley College, up to 19. And now this year we're going to have 3 open age teams. So we're going to have an under-21s, an under-23s and the first team. So we're doing all this with a limited budget of beg and borrow, yet you see some of the professional teams that don't. But as we talked to before I came in here, they don't have an obligation, I don't think. Men's team don't have an obligation. But there you go, that's another long story.
Yeah, I think it's best we do mention that, because obviously it's very much in the news at the minute. Blackburn Rovers, Hull City, I believe Wolverhampton Wanderers have all had various financial issues at the back end of this season. Is it something that the clubs should be sort of held accountable for, and should there be more being done, or is it just an issue with the fact that men's clubs, as you said, shouldn't really have an obligation to
Well, not
look
all
after?
men's clubs have women's teams, do they? Right. We talked about Sheffield Wednesday earlier. Sheffield Wednesday have a team in name, but Sheffield Wednesday don't actively give anything to that team.
It's just a badge and a kit every 3 years.
And there's a lot of things like that, which is fine. They are not trying to say that we are doing everything for women's sport, because they're not. Sheffield Wednesday need their money for the men's team. We've all heard about their woes with the finances and things like that. So it's a big business, and so their priority is the men's team. Now, you said about Blackburn and Wolverhampton Wanderers there. I don't think people understand how much it costs to run teams in these leagues. For instance, I heard that Nottingham Forest they've just been promoted from the tier 3, the tier above us, into the Championship. They had £1 million budget. £1 million, right? I'm over the moon if I can raise £60,000. Right? And we're not that far off them. If we played them,
In terms of on the pitch.
Yeah. But so Blackburn Rovers, they've been punching. They've got a lot of good girls from South Yorkshire, Blackburn, and it costs a lot of money. And the girls who get they put our players put a lot of hard work in, and a lot of dedication. Right, like I say, they travel from all over, Nottinghamshire, Derbyshire, Manchester, Leeds, Lincoln, to come to training twice a week, plus they've got full-time jobs. But now they're expecting to be recompensed better. Now, we only give expenses, but if you think, somebody coming 3 times a week from Lincoln, or Loughborough, they rack up a lot of money.
Yeah.
In 45 pence a mile, it's a lot of money. And so, but they're expecting more as well. And sometimes I say to the girls, where do you think this money's coming from? We're not an endless pot. We'd love to give you, and if I had it, let me tell you, the girls would get it, because I look after the girls. But that money's got to be earned somehow. And it's only through the good people of, Barnsley, Sheffield, Leeds, who sponsor us, that we can afford something. But these clubs, they are now wanting to get into the Championship, and the guidelines to get into the Championship, you've got to prove that you've got so much money, you've got so much infrastructure, and it's harder and harder. Wolverhampton Wanderers, they're in the Premiership. You'd think they would have applied for the licence for the women to get into the Championship, but then the women find they haven't. They're distraught.
Yeah,
they never got there anyway. But the fact that they never. Blackburn and Sheffield United close to us. Now, I know that their budget, so I've heard on the grapevine, it's not 100% true, but I heard that they never got a budget, and they didn't know where they were until the season had started.
Right.
So they couldn't go out and get, better players, and they were left with, players that would come for whatever they would offer them. But I know it wasn't a lot. so they've got relegated now. And now there's talk that Blackburn might not stay there, so Sheffield United might stay there. I don't know. Is the want there from the clubs to stay there when so much money's been taken and used, even in Tier 3? It's 7 years ago we were giving £10 or £20 expenses.
Yeah.
If you said that now, I'm sure Chef Wednesday in Tier 6 are giving similar to that.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to the first part of this episode. Lots to unpack there, and lots to look forward to in the second part as well, where Steve calls out Barnsley Council. We'll go into lots more detail and more in the next episode, so stay tuned across our social channels for the launch of part 2 with Steve Maddock.